Pick up the Zombie Killer Tee. A link is down below.
What's going on, YouTube? I am here at Heligoland, also known as the real-life Darkest Shore. It's just me here. Well, let's explain how we got here, how it just got to be me doing a podcast alone on a park bench on an island out in the German North Sea. So, Reed, me, and Quinn, wow, I said that really weirdly. Me, Quinn, and Reed all came to Europe together. Reed, unfortunately, on the second day, got a stomach ulcer and had to go home. Quinn, he didn't really want to come to Heligoland. He wanted to stay home and work on his Fortnite channel. So, he is in Hamburg right now, and I am 3 hours away doing a podcast for you guys on Heligoland. So it's just gonna be me. So the way this podcast is working, I have my camera on a heavy-duty selfie stick, and it's kind of heavy. It's a DSLR with a mic attached to it, so hopefully it sounds good, and I'm just holding it up with two hands. I'm sure like 20 minutes into the pod, my arms are gonna get tired, but this is what I'm willing to put myself through this pain for you guys to make sure you get a pod, because we haven't had many opportunity to record that many on the road. And at the very least, I want you guys to get a couple pods. So here we are now from Heligoland. I took a 3-hour boat to get here. Actually, the boat was super nice, a lot nicer than I was expecting. You could go out onto the back deck so you could see out as you were filming there. I got some really nice footage of that. Then in addition to that, they also had like meals. So I got like some currywurst on the boat, got myself a few drinks, and I just relaxed. And it was nice. It was Wi-Fi on the boat. I was surprised about that. And after 3 hours, we got here, and I was on Heligoland. The island is interesting. So it's a massive climb to get to the top of the island. Oh, I was so goddamn exhausted by the end of it. I think maybe it took me 10 minutes. I was sweating. My whole back of my shirt was wet just because from how tired I was. Oh, by the way, so I'm in a ditch right now. I just found a park bench in a ditch, so I'm recording this vlog. So people might be passing by, but hopefully it doesn't interrupt the pod too much. I sat here because I figured this is secluded. Everybody's gonna look at me like I'm a weirdo. I'm a guy talking into a camera, but maybe I am a little bit weird. So anyway, we took the boat to Heligoland. We got here. You had to climb a massive hill to get to the cliffs. And the cliffs are what's probably most iconic about the Darkest Shore. I mean, you climb up the hills where the bases are. You could look along the cliff sides as you're playing the map and fighting the zombies. I mean, you literally are on the edges of some of the cliffs at some point. And that's what you kind of experience in-game. I apologize if there's much sound as I'm recording the pod, but I hope you guys understand. Anyway, so once we got here on the island, this is funny. Hello. So pardon the interruptions. A bunch of kids were running by. It was actually pretty funny. So once we got here, we just got to explore the cliffs. I walked alongside it. It's a couple thousand meters just of cliff sides that you walk through. I mean, I'm super exhausted by the end of it. I'm like, I got to the end of it. I'm like, am I gonna have time to get to my boat? I don't know. And I think I should. I think the boat leaves in 2 hours, so I have 2 hours to record this pod, find something to eat, and make it to my boat on time. Although I'm pretty far along. What was unfortunate about visiting Heligoland is there really isn't much to see here. Oh my goodness, you might just be able to see those kids running along the cliffs, kind of shouting. It's actually pretty funny. So what I just found interesting was there really isn't much on either Nerthus or the Second World War. I mean, I was even actually talking to one of the people here who I guess knew this island well or knows this island well. And he was like, yeah, there really isn't much. They just cleaned up a lot of the damage. I mean, you look along the cliff sides and sometimes you can see bits of metal or bits of brick that were once laid there and then just half destroyed or half in pieces from what I assume were just bombs that dropped on the island. Even in this kind of pit that I'm sitting in right now where I am, my assumption right now is that this is where many of the drones were bopped, where many of the bombs were dropped. During the Second World War, the British Royal Air Force dropped around 7,000 bombs on this island. This was over the course of 2 days, so a lot of the island fell into the sea and got lost and was destroyed. There's also just massive pits that now, about 60, 70 years later, have essentially been reclaimed by nature and fields, so there's a lot of grass and just kind of big pits. But this island is nice. I mean, I'm out here. I had no idea what to expect. I mean, I'm 3 hours off the coast of Germany. I didn't know whether or not there'd be cell service. I didn't know anything. And I'm here with 4G on my phone. I mean, I'm WhatsApping my family, sending them pictures of me at Heligoland. I'm posting stuff to the Snapchat out here. Surprisingly, this place is well connected. There's a gift shop with like a duty-free and everything. There's plenty of food and whatnot. There's, I think, about 1,500 people who live on this island. Ships coming out day in and day out. I imagine somebody who owns a house here, this is actually a pretty nice, just kind of vacation destination, somewhere you can spend a few weeks or maybe even a summer if you have that time. I mean, Heligoland isn't what you expect in game. I intend to send Cameron Dayton a tweet being like, this place is surprisingly nice. There's 4G service, beautiful paths to walk along, nice places to eat, great seafood. What the hell are you telling me about this dark shore, Cameron? This place is a paradise. Sounds like a nice place to spend a weekend. I mean, I don't know where the zombies are, but Cameron, I feel deceived by you. Anyway, so that's kind of how I'm feeling about Heligoland right now. This place is cool. I'm glad I came here. Honestly, in a sense, I wish I had more time. Like when, I think I was mentioning this in the Patreon call yesterday, that like this place, I don't really know what to expect. It's a 3-hour boat ride. It's a long time to be on a boat. I'm only here for like 4.5 hours. What's there to do besides shoot a video and a podcast? So I don't know, but I mean, I've spent enough time looking at some of these beautiful ridges and cliffs that it's honestly really cool. I like it out here a lot. Like, I wish I could spend a couple days here and, in fact, like go out onto the water. Like, maybe it's just me, but personally, I enjoy that smell of like seawater and whatnot. It brings me back. I enjoy it. So I personally like it here a lot on this island. It doesn't exactly feel like the Zombies map. I mean, there aren't really these caverns, there aren't many references to Nerthus. I was hoping for something. As you walk along the path of these cliffs, there are signs that tell you about the history of the island over the course of several hundred years, but not much is said on the Second World War, at least not much that I've seen, and not much was said on Nerthus. Like, I'm not expecting a Nerthus statue. I find a cave and then there it is in a pool of blood, like it's the Easter egg or something like that, or I find one of Nerthus's children. But I don't know, nothing, not even a reference. I mean, it's hard to find online. There's only a few articles if you really want to dig in and do the research. I mean, the fact that Cameron ran with Nerthus for this island was surprising because there is a lot of history here on this island. And there's so much he drew from. Nerthus was mildly obscure, but personally, I'm happy with it. I think it fits well with the story, especially when you consider how much of the storyline fits in with the Easter egg, where you have Nerthus, who's the goddess of fertility. You're finding her children during the Easter egg, the 3 sons. Then in addition to that, she also is veiled in a white cloth. There's a statue of her before a lake in a secluded sort of cave or a cove, and that's where she is in game. And you sacrifice zombies in a pool of blood, much like people or slaves were sacrificed in the legends. And if you want to even take it a step further, you could say that the zombies are the slaves of Straubs. So in a way, we were sacrificing slaves before the statue of Nerthus. So there's all this legend that parallels the Easter egg, and I love it. It's one of my favorite things about the zombie storyline. I think Cameron Dayton did an excellent job infusing the narrative with the history or legends of this island, and it's cool. I mean, that's what the zombie storyline to me is all about. I mean, when we were looking into Doriz, we're like, holy shit, there are all these like conspiracies. Like, the Nazis were building wonder weapons. They have the bell, and you're like, oh shoot, that's the bell in game. And then you have the fly trap, and there's the fly trap in game, and it activates this crazy Easter egg. There are tons of kids just running along, giving me weird looks. Everybody on this island probably thinks I'm crazy as I sit here on a bench talking to myself on this camera. But what was I saying? Yeah, so Doriz really had that magic, that lightning in a bottle, where it was like, man, we have this history and all these conspiracies, and there they are in the zombies map, just with a twist of zombies, and it makes it so much fun. And then, like, so we had the same thing on Heligoland, and God, I wish zombies did that more sometimes. I mean, one of, I think, my biggest criticisms for Black Ops 3 Zombies is how just random it is. I mean, sure, they put you in Stalingrad, sure, they put us in Zet, but, like, DE, they took us to DE, they took us to Der Eisendrache, but they completely threw away any of the history from that castle. So it's like, what's the point of even making it Hohenwerfen Castle? You might as well have just picked any other castle in the region. There are 3-4 other castles in Salzburg you could have used. Why did you use this one? I mean, it's frustrating. I don't know. Another thing that I actually really find interesting on this island, and I want to make a video about this, I just don't know how or what the right connection to it would be for this island. But so the Anaaba is a big part of the World War II zombie storyline. I mean, they believe that this place could have been a gateway to Atlantis, and there was almost some expeditions that went on this island. None of them ever actually happened, but we see some of that referenced in the map where we have some of the radios and they're talking about this being the Atlantis. And Atlantis is something in the zombie storyline we've talked about for ages. We've always wanted to go to Atlantis, and I made a video I'm like, Cameron, you're breaking my heart. We had this wonderful map, but there's no Atlantis. Where the heck is my Atlantis? And I don't mean to sound entitled, but it was just such a golden opportunity. I might end up making that video on this island if I have a bit more time, just talking about Atlantis in the zombie storyline and how we keep getting teased at it but never seem to get it. We'll see, something like that, hopefully. I don't know, maybe. I will say, so I've been going for about 10 minutes. This might be a shorter pod, so I apologize, my arms, oh God. See, when you're holding a selfie stick, it's fine, but then when you're holding a selfie stick for 10 minutes and you add like a 1, 2, 3 pound DSLR on top that has a monitor and a microphone and a big old lens, and you're sitting here just like holding it up with one hand and then suddenly 2 hands, you keep readjusting. It's difficult. You know, I tried bringing a tripod along, in fact, for this trip. Like, I had one, I built a whole strap/rig on my backpack so I could easily transport it, but it just ended up not working out, so I ditched that whole idea, didn't bring a tripod. I brought my little one, my gorilla pod, but that isn't good for something like this. We'd be all the way on the ground. Like, I'd be crawling along Heligoland trying to get this podcast recorded. So we're giving the selfie stick a try. I bought a heavy duty one for this trip, and so far it's served me well on this trip, and hopefully it's serving me well on this podcast. Overall, if you're wondering, I'm in Hamburg, should I go to Heligoland? What is the answer? I say yes. This island is beautiful. It's super scenic. If you're a photographer and you want to take some photos, it's probably one of the best places. Looks like I hit the time limit on my camera, but to answer the question, should you go to Heligoland? I would say absolutely if you're in Hamburg and you're a zombies fan. This place is beautiful photography. There's so many great photos you can take. The cliffs are really scenic. It's a nice walk alongside the edge of it. I mean, there isn't much zombie stuff to see. There isn't that much Second World War history that's around to look at or read, but it's still really freaking cool, and I 100% recommend it. Like, there's places where I've said, should you go to Hohenwerfen? And I'm like, it's cool. There's a couple places that look like zombies, but at the same time, it wasn't that great. Like, only if you're in Salzburg. I'd say definitely if you're in Hamburg, go here, but it's like, should I go to those places that represent origins? I'd say not for zombies, only if you're into, say, Verdun and the First World War history. It's like, should you go to Dries? Absolutely, but it's super out of the way. To me, it's like, if you're in Hamburg, you want to see a neat island, you have like a day to kill, because this is a whole day trip. I had to get here at 9 o'clock. I'm on the island for like 4 hours. There's a 3-hour boat ride. I have a 3-hour boat ride back. I don't get back till about 8:15. If you want to make a day out of it, then yes. If you're into photography, absolutely. If you're looking for zombie stuff, maybe pass, because I mean, you're not going to find much zombies or much that relates to the zombie storyline. I mean, the island's history and legends relate, but not so much the island itself and what's left on the island. I mean, this is a place where about 1,500 people live. There's a town, there's ships coming in and out. I think this is a vacation destination in a sense. So, I mean, don't think you're going to some secluded island or some like lost place that's been untouched by history. No, this place has kept up with the modern world. There's 4G cell service out here, which I was very surprised at, actually. This isn't some third world island that's been destroyed by the war and left in ruins. Anyway, that's going to wrap things up for this pod. Looks like I've been going for about 14 minutes or so here. I've kind of ran out of things to say about Heligoland. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.